Hey everyone, it's Dave with Alaskan Homesteading. I have a sort of project video for you tonight. I'm not actually working on the project on the video, but I wanted to share something that I've been working on a little bit and ask a couple of questions for people that might know more than I do about some of these things. What you see behind me is a big 3-point hitch snowblower that came with the tractor when I bought it. It needs some refurbishment, but it's not seized up. It basically, I think, will function, but I've got some things to do. Anyway, let me flip the camera around and I'll show you what I'm dealing with. So, like a lot of Alaskans, I've got some interesting yard art. At least this started out as yard art because it didn't work when I got it. It needs some restoration, some refurbishment. But what this will be is a snowblower. Seems pretty obvious, I guess. It's a 2-stage snowblower made by a company called Snowmachines. Snowmachines Corporation out of North Sioux City, South Dakota. And this thing is an enormous beast. It will run off of the tractor PTO hooked up to the 3-point hitch. This is a model 2504B. I don't have the vital stats on it, like the width. I haven't measured it. What I did tonight, and actually over the last couple of days, was kind of disassemble some pieces of it to see what needs work, what needs repair, what might need new parts, what needs greasing, etc. And what was really nice was I took these end caps off. These are for the axle bearings for the main auger. And everything looked pretty good in there. There was grease in it. It wasn't rusty, so I kind of wiped it down, shot it full of some fresh grease, which went right in. The zerk wasn't clogged or anything, so that was pretty cool. Same thing on this drive axle zerk. That one took grease right away, no problem. And on this end, same thing. Grease went right in. You can see it, the fresh grease starting to come out. So I'm confident that at least those end bearings are getting some grease. I'll have to tear it down and get a closer look inside, but for now, at least I know that those accept grease, and I can turn the auger with my foot with fairly minimal effort. It doesn't take a lot. Maybe 30 pounds of force or something like that. What was really tricky was the assembly to rotate the chute, because this whole thing was locked up tighter than Fort Knox, and it took some interesting doing to get it all apart and in pieces and greased and put back together. This ring, it unbolted pretty easily, so that was no problem. Inside of here, there's some sort of plastic rings that fit around there that accept grease and slide on each other, so they're kind of full of lubricant. You can see all the fresh grease. Before reassembling it, I smeared on a whole bunch of red and tacky and got that all spread around so that it would be at least pre-lubricated while I was assembling it. And then this zerk I had to blow out with a torch. I melted the fossilized grease that was inside of it and got it flowing, so I was able to re-grease that. And underneath this ring there are zerks, and those are you probably can't see it too well, but those rings I had to remove. I removed all those inner pieces, sanded them lightly, hit them with some primer, and cleaned their zerks out so they were all ready to accept grease. And now I can turn this thing with one hand, which is probably how it should be. Now originally this was operated with a hydraulic ram that connected between these two pins. And the hydraulic ram that came with this was wrecked. You could see all the pitting on the rod, and you just know it was not ever going to work. It'd be spraying hydraulic oil everywhere. So my theory is that I'm going to get an electric linear actuator that'll fit in this space here. It's going to take some finagling. I have to go look online and see what I can find. But the throw to swing this thing essentially to 270 degrees, the throw on this drive rack is only about 7 inches total to spin the thing through 270 degrees. So that's not a whole lot of length that I need out of a linear actuator. And so it goes from about 18 1/4 to 25 1/4. That's the stroke that it has to go across, the distance, starting and ending distance. And I think I'll be able to get something. The trick is getting something strong enough, because with the gear reduction on this, you've got a really tiny pinion inside there that's being driven by this rack, and a much larger gear on top that drives an even larger diameter ring on the chute. So it takes a pretty good amount of force to push this to rotate that chute. I mean, if I lean into it pretty hard with my weight, I can get it to start moving, but that's going to be, I'm probably putting 75 to 100 pounds of force on it, just pushing on it like that. So I need a fairly stout actuator. But the nice thing, if I use an actuator, is that I can just run a power cable back to this thing and power it off of the 12-volt system of the tractor, instead of adding a third function and several $100s worth of hydraulic hoses that I'd have to get made up custom, not to mention the installation of the third function. I actually have a third function kit for the tractor, but I'm not really that keen on installing it to operate the rear hydraulic device. I really want to set it up to operate a front hydraulic device like a grapple. So for me, I think an electric linear actuator that has a throw of about 6 to 7 inches, maybe 8 inches at the most. I could always stop it before the thing turns too far. So anywhere in that range, and probably a force of about, I'm going to say 150 to 200 pounds, but I'm not really sure, and I've never messed with those things before. So leave a comment if you have any experience with linear actuators and any ideas about how I can find out just exactly how much force I need. I don't have a force gauge sitting around. I don't know if I've got a luggage scale, but I'm afraid if I pull on it hard enough to move this, it's going to wreck it. I don't think it's meant for those kind of forces. So I don't know, maybe I just have to go on Amazon and buy a cheap force gauge like you'd use on a hoist with like a chain lift or something. At any rate, this is a pretty neat attachment. I'm hoping to get some use out of it this coming winter. My UTV plow is a little narrower, as you can see, so I think I'll be able to clear a lot more in one pass with the snowblower. I've got this long gravel driveway to go down that kind of disappears off through the woods there, and it sure would be nice to kind of clear that whole thing in 2 passes, one out and one back, and throw the snow way off into the woods. All right, well, that's all the time I have for tonight. But like I said, leave me a comment if you have any information about these kind of machines. I'm really super curious to know what are some of the things that I need to look out for, other than the obvious, like don't get sucked into the auger because you'll get killed. But I'm really interested to know if anybody has any information about the Snowmachines company in particular. I haven't found much about them online, but I've only started my research pretty recently. And again, on the linear actuators, to move that that push rod to rotate the chute. I'm really interested to know if people have good ideas about sourcing those besides, whatever cheap junk I can find on Amazon. I think I could use some information. So thanks again for watching. I'm hoping that you're enjoying these project videos. I think this one's going to be a lot of fun. If you are enjoying it, give me a thumbs up. If you want to see more of these projects, subscribe, and we'll see you in the next video.